College baseball is back, and the SEC is absolutely loaded.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Squadding up to talk SEC baseball for the first time ever. I'm Zach Blackerby, host of Locked On Auburn, joined by Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss, John Nabors of Locked On Razorbacks, Clint Shamblin of Locked On Bulldogs, Eric Kane, Locked On Vols, and Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. We made it. Pretty much. It's baseball season. John Nabors, I assume you're the happiest of all of us. Is that right?
Why would I be happy?
This is something Arkansas is good at.
No, well, yeah, that's true. No, we are actually good at it. It's a lot of fun. I am excited about baseball season, if you can believe it. Yeah, this is kind of our time to shine, where Dave Van Horn's won 18 SEC games or more every year since 2017 and constantly been a national seeds and all that. Only thing missing is the thing that matters the most is the College World Series title. But hey, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is
I was going to say it's going to be off-putting if I say something because Arkansas knocked Tennessee out in Supers last year, but I
don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. What happened in that?
Just, you
be off-putting. I don't think anybody's pushing back on you being off-putting there. Of course, Arkansas 7th according to the D1 baseball preseason poll. I mean, the SEC is absolutely loaded as far as those top 25 teams. I mean, especially in the top 10. LSU, though, of course, I mean, not surprising, the highest ranked. I mean, is LSU still the king of this conference, the king of college baseball in y'all's mind?
I think you're in a situation to where LSU has to lose. They're kind of the darlings at the moment. If you want to be the man, you have to beat the man. And this is a absolutely ridiculous conference to where some team that is really, really good is about to throw up a 13-17 in conference play. And I think everybody needs to be prepared for that. And somebody that may not be ranked couldn't turn out to have a really good team over the course of the season. And this is just SEC baseball. I mean, but until LSU gets knocked off, yeah, they're kind of the top dog.
Yeah. Corey Burton, your Vandy boys squad that you guys lean into, obviously a lot of excitement.
Very much.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, you got a guy that was preseason All SEC on the pitching staff, Connor Fennell. He's going to be really good, looking to be an ace there. Austin Nye, a bigger role there. He's looking like he's going to be the number 2 pitcher. And then I think Nate Taylor, who we got from Clint's Georgia Bulldogs to come over, he's probably going to be the 3rd starter. So Vandy's going to have a really good pitching staff. I believe it's going to come down to who can hit the ball, who can join Braden Holcomb, who was the other All-SEC selection from this team, who can hit the ball, who can drive in the runs. Can there be some consistency here with this lineup? It's just very up and down. When the pitchers were off, so were the bats, and when the pitchers were on, the bats weren't on. Just
right.
Yeah,
right.
Not complimentary baseball there.
Yeah. Clint Shamblin, we haven't heard from you yet. Your Georgia Bulldogs ranked 15th in the preseason poll according to D1 baseball, which is wild because, I mean, there's still so many SEC teams ahead, but I mean, that's the truth of this conference this year. I mean, absolutely stacked, and Georgia is a part of that.
Georgia is a part of it. We are stacked ourselves. The SEC is stacked. And what it's going to come down to is that starting pitching. Starting pitching is just the biggest question mark. We have no idea. And anybody that tells you they can tell which way it's going to go is crazy. The bat should produce. We're going to have runs. We're going to have power. We're going to have contact. I believe in that. And the transfer portal itself did produce guys that have already had success. So they're not unknowns totally. It's the grind of the SEC, what you talked about. So can I think we'll be in every game? Yes. Can we get to the late innings and then trust our bullpen? That's going to be the question. Because if Georgia can be in close games with the bullpen and the offense we have, we might be looking at the best team in the SEC just on those 2 things alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be such a battle each and every week. I mean, just going through the top 25 here, once again, D1 baseball is what we have pulled up here. LSU at 2, Texas at 3, Mississippi State at 4, Arkansas at 7, Auburn at 9, Florida at 13, Tennessee at 14, Georgia at 15, Kentucky at 18, Vandy at 23, and then Texas A&M at 25. Did anybody get snubbed here, guys? Are any of these way too low in your opinion, or not on this list and they should be?
I think just after all the offseason, not even the offseason, just, a 3-week span in the fall where Tennessee baseball program just, was on a roller coaster ride. I think because Tony Vitello is now in San Francisco with the Giants, first sitting college coach ever to take over a managerial position. Frank Anderson went with him. Quentin Eberhard, who's a Major League Baseball strength and conditioning coach who's been with Tennessee for the last couple of years, he goes with him. Because of all that, I think just from the outside noise, it's like, oh, well, Tennessee's going to take a massive step back. And I think if Tony were here with this roster that he and Josh Elander, who's now the head coach, constructed, the transfer portal class, the freshman class, I think if Tony and Frank were still here in Knoxville, I think Tennessee, instead of being 15, probably be somewhere around 11 or 10. Just my opinion. Instead of being 6th predicted order of finish in the SEC, probably top 5. I'd say probably 4th. So I'd say Tennessee got slotted a little bit, but again, not saying Tennessee should be out there in the top 5.
Anybody else feel like they're way too high or way too low?
Georgia, I just talked about the bats and the power arms of the bullpen. Those two things in and of itself should rank us higher, but I think it's the unknown and the unceremonious way in which we were booted out of contention last year, kind of surprisingly with what the expectation was. So I think, yes, Georgia is going to shock some people by the end of the season with how we're ranked right now, because I do think we are a top 8 team easily.
I think Vanderbilt's aptly rated. I mean, they had a chance last year as the number 1 overall seed to really make a run, and they didn't. They got booted in the regionals and just went cold at the plate. And so I understand the ranking. I think they're going to surprise a few people this year as far as starting at 23rd and just working their way up, because I do think the bats, when they do find a groove, they'll be good.
Yeah. And just because we haven't mentioned anything about the team I cover yet, Auburn at 9, I think feels about right. I think there's still plenty of questions as far as the rotation. The lot of bats returning the lineup. They had a lot of freshmen a year ago. Can they limit these sophomore slumps? And I just think with Butch Thompson at the helm, they're going to figure out the rotation. It just kind of always seems to work out with him as the coach. I think he's kind of earned that respect. So for what it's worth, I think Auburn just inside the top 10 is fair. And then they just ran into the buzzsaw that was Coastal a year ago when they won like 1,000 games in a row, which was
I was going to say, I think for Tennessee, a lot of questions about pitching. I feel pretty good about the starters. Tegan Coons, who was kind of the Sunday guy last year, is a true freshman. He's a second year. He's a 2-year sophomore, meaning he'll go to the draft. He'll be a first rounder this year. Mixed bag of results last year. Went to the Cape this summer, was phenomenal. Has been really good this offseason. He's going to be the Friday night guy. Landon Mack coming over from Rutgers. Really solid debut season in the Big Ten, coming over to Tennessee. Got a little bit of Liam Doyle, but in terms of the intensity on the mound, but the comp is kind of Chase Dolander. And when you're obviously lumped into that category as a Tennessee pitcher, a lot of high expectations. He's going to pitch on Saturday. Then you got Evan Blanco, who used to be a Friday night guy for Virginia, an Omaha team in 24. He's going to pitch on Sundays. Brandon Arvidsson coming back to be the swingman in the bullpen. I have more questions about the bullpen for Tennessee, but I think that's the case for everybody, especially in this era with the transfer portal, guys leaving, guys looking for other opportunities. Tennessee did bring in Brady Frederick of ETSU, a submarine guy, SoCon pitcher of the year, brought in Bo Rudy at Kennesaw State. I think those guys are going to play pretty well, but I don't have any major concerns about the lineup because the way this team is built year in and year out, with Vitello and Elander, I mean, they're going to just hit the crap out of the ball. My questions is the pitching staff, the bullpen specifically, who kind of steps up where. But again, I think we could all say that right now, sitting here in preseason.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I think for, like you said, every team. Because like Arkansas, I know this is a shock, but Arkansas is too low at 7, in my opinion, because not everyone sees, you lost the Golden Spikes Award winner Vahiva Lloyd. You lost your starting pitcher in Zach Root. You lost these guys, but here's the thing: is Dave Van Horn had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. He's still got a transfer portal, but it's always about the bullpen. There's a lot of uncertainty there for everybody. But here's the deal: is that Arkansas has the preseason SEC Freshman of the Year in Carson Brumbaugh, who's a starting shortstop. That's a lot of expectation, but I think he could step up into that role. They have a guy like Ryder Helfrich coming back as a catcher, who's on the Golden Spikes Award winning watch list. You have Gabe Gackle, who's also on that spot. He's going to be their ace pitcher this year. So here's the deal: is like they lost so much from last year. I think if some people are saying, "Oh, well, that's you're just going to take a step back," Are they going to have a Vahiva Aloy on the team? Probably not. But the thing is that it's always about are these guys going to step up? Are they going to be able to have the guys take those next steps from a year ago in their development? If that happens, Arkansas will be one of the best teams in the country and probably will be the favorite to win the SEC when it's all said and done.
All right, I want to ask you guys a big picture, zoomed out question about the transfer portal in the state of college baseball and how I think the SEC personally benefits from it. And then I also want us to all hop around and preview what's happening this weekend around the conference. That's next on this SEC Baseball Squad, brought to you by our friends at Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to a score than what's on the screen, I'm going to call somebody out. Eric Kane, give me someone from Tennessee that's moving the game forward.
Yeah, I think a name that everybody's going to know, not only in the SEC, not only in this little group here, but really in college baseball, is going to be Blaine Brown. Transfer from Rice, two-way prospect, lefty on the mound, hit about 97, 98 in the scrimmage heading into the season, the pizza series as they call it. But he's going to be a bat in the lineup, top of the order, 1-2, sweetest swing from the left side, power, can spray it all over the field. This guy is going to be an all-SEC type player. Blaine Brown, know the name, two-way prospect. He moves the game forward for Tennessee, and really, when you're the new venture in college baseball, moving the game forward to the 34-man rosters.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Mazda puts the same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it takes to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Wayfair. Raise your hand if you love Wayfair. Just real quick, for those listening on audio, everyone's raising their hand. It doesn't matter if it's for, bedroom furniture. My dining room table is actually from Wayfair. I've ordered multiple bookshelves that are in my home from Wayfair. Just did a crossover with Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. It's where his patio furniture is from. Wayfair has everything. It has everything. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And today's show brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. I actually just figured out why John Nabors is suddenly happy again. It's not college baseball season. It's because he finally did his taxes. He hit up TurboTax and he's like, you know what? I'm tired of this burden of having to pay my taxes follow me around. I'm going to be happy again. And thanks to TurboTax, our buddy John Nabors is actually happy again. For a limited time only, you can have your taxes done by a TurboTax expert just for $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert did not file for you last year, just make sure you file with them before February 28th. Take taxes off your plate like John Nabors did and get back to your life. You can be happy again. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you so much for making all of our SEC shows your first listen every single day. And if you want more, if you want ad-free feeds, if you want exclusive Discord, which I'm sure will be bumping during the baseball season, check out all of our shows through the Everydayer Club, just the name of the show. So for me, be lockedonauburn.supercast.com. All of us will have our links and our respective show notes down below if you want more info on the Everydayer Club. Steven, I'll start with you. Actually, let me ask the zoomed out question first. Do you guys feel like we've all referred to transfers so far to this point? If you're a transfer portal candidate and you're a guy who clearly can play up a higher level of competition in the SEC, in college baseball, do you think the SEC could potentially benefit more in baseball than other sports via talent acquisition through the portal? What are y'all thoughts on that?
1,000%. Not
It
even
feels
close.
like we're playing a different sport than everybody else is conference-wise here.
I mean,
Yeah.
the rankings speak for themselves too. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
Especially since the 11.7 went away.
Yeah, the SEC is one of the few. It's one of the few places that have schools that actually have baseball programs that either break even or even in some cases make money. I mean, it's a different game. It's a different change. Look at those stadiums. I mean, for crying out loud, it's like you can't get that, and you go pro and you go play out in Sheboygan, and you're not getting any of those types of places and facilities. So yeah, it's not even close.
Tennessee,
the SEC.
I was going to say Tennessee real quick is from last year. Tennessee was a foul 163,000 in the hole. This upcoming year, they're going to break even in baseball because Tony Vitello's separation pay is going to kick in. But I mean, the fact that baseball is going to make money at Tennessee, It's insane. I mean, it's ridiculous. So furthering John's point, I mean, not many places around the country, not in the South, where you can't do that.
Yeah.
I think baseball itself has the best opportunity to continue to progress players towards the MLB, unlike other sports that you have to come in ready-made. Baseball in and of itself turns into, we got entertainment baseball, we got minor league baseball. College baseball in and of itself is incredibly entertaining. I mean, just the atmosphere in these stadiums are unlike anything else. Plus the development of these kids as they're coming through and transferring. I think baseball makes the absolute best sense transferring. The SEC turns into a far better feeder program for MLB in the draft to prepare them well. And all the teams that we talked about that we represent are well positioned to do that.
Yeah.
The facilities, like John said, the facilities, the coaching, the money that's being circulated through this conference is starting to become bigger than a minor league contract. So you get drafted by the White Sox and you get sent to, I don't know where they play, but I'm just going to say Iowa City. I think that's the Cubs, right? So they get sent to Iowa City. And would you rather go there, or would you rather go to Arkansas, who has top-notch facilities, or Vanderbilt, who has top-notch facilities, on down the line?
Yeah, and you're only playing 4 games a week. You're not having to travel everywhere. You're a star on your campus. Like,
and you're getting NIL, you're getting paid too.
Yeah, and every stadium has TrackMan attached. There's a reason that MLB put that in everywhere in the conference.
That's right. All right, let's hop around and discuss what our teams are doing this week. I'll start just quickly because I think it's one of the probably least interesting matchups, but Auburn hosts Youngstown State, which is not a state. And this is one that Auburn should absolutely run away with, despite, some of the questions with the bullpen and all that. I think Butch Thompson will be able to kind of mix and match and experiment a little bit, which is good. So we'll just go in order. Stephen Willis, what's Ole Miss got this weekend?
Ole Miss has the Nevada Wolfpack this weekend, and it'll be nice for Hunter Elliott to kind of get going, one of the better pitchers in all of college baseball. But the question is going to be what's behind him, essentially. And they're going to have to figure out a Saturday starter and a Sunday starter and get their fielding percentage freaking better than it was last year. They did too much bad news Bears stuff. And is this team a 3 outcome hitting team, or can they play a little bit of small ball? They got the transfer Dom Decker coming in from Murray State. Is going to play second base this year. There's questions with this team. That's the reason I'm not upset about them being underranked by not being ranked. But I do think if everything comes together, they're going to be a lot better than what they think they're going to be this year.
All right, John Nabors with Arkansas.
Yeah, so Arkansas, and I know Corey's going to talk about it, but while you guys are sitting there with the Poors playing in some random teams, we're actually going to be in someplace better called Globe Life Stadium and playing in something called the Shriners Children's College Showdown. So,
well, we'll be there in 2 weeks. So
yeah. Well, no one cares. Baseball doesn't matter except for the first week, anyways. But still, Arkansas is going to be playing against Oklahoma State to open that up on Friday night at 7 p.m. And then they play the top 10 team TCU, which Arkansas, anytime they play purple teams, it's always been pretty rough at times, whether it's LSU, TCU, Kansas State. Don't know what it is. Purple's just not a very good color in Arkansas. So hopefully Razorbacks get a little revenge there. And then they play Texas Tech also this weekend. So really, normally Arkansas's had actually some games before they went down here to Globe Life, because Dave Van Horn's made a deal where they go to Globe Life every year. But to start the season, where you got scrimmages, but this is it right here, I think is really going to showcase just how this team's mindset is in the start. But should be a great thing. It should be a great atmosphere. Razorback fans usually take it over because we have nothing better to do in our lives. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yep. Corey Vandy's also a part of that, and you guys actually open against TCU.
Yeah, we open against TCU, and then we play a similar schedule there. So it's just a great way to piggyback on what John said. It's just a great way to open the season because you're shot out of a cannon with that competition, and it's like, okay, here we go. We're going to get some immediate answers on A, the starting rotation, B, your bullpen, which is a giant question mark for everybody, and then C, for Vanderbilt, who's, like I said, what's the lineup going to look like? Who's going to be your hitters? Where you're going to get your runs from? How are you going to find some consistency? And you get all of those answers starting out against TCU, and then you run that gauntlet of the Shriners Children's Baseball Showdown.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Oklahoma is out there.
Yeah, Oklahoma and
who cares?
Yeah, they're not here. Who cares? Yeah. Eric with the Vols.
Yeah, we'll be at Globe Live here in a couple of weeks. Gonna host Nicholls State, but I think they dropped the state, or they don't like to be referred to as
Not a
Nicholls
state.
State.
They're not
They're
one.
not a state either.
It's weird. It's confusing. So it should be a nice little tune-up weekend. Again, I wish they played better non-con, but the fact that they do go, I mean, they went to Houston last year. They were in Arlington a couple years ago, Phoenix 3 years ago. It's kind of getting a warm-up first couple weekends before you go. But, yeah, looking forward to seeing Tennessee. Look, the starting rotation, this weekend, Tegan Kuhn's on Friday, as I mentioned. Evan Blanco on Sunday, and, of course, Landon Mack on Saturday. Henry Ford, the transfer from Virginia, might be hitting leadoff. If not hitting leadoff, probably hitting third in the order. Excited about him. Mentioned Blaine Brown earlier in the show. Levi Clark is going to be a stud in this league, hitting in the heart of the order, playing first base for Tennessee, catching a little bit. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how kind of all the pieces come together and how this team – I mean, all those questions aren't going to be answered this week, but it'll be our first sample size. So looking forward to that and what should be a sweep and a couple of run rule games.
All right, and then
Did
Clint
you,
Shamblin, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Horizon League coming on down. Wright State, also not a state, so this is a common thread throughout the entirety of it. This is what we want to see happen. Wes Johnson has his fingerprints on pitching. If the pitching is improved, the starting pitching throughout this series goes ahead and gets well within the game, keeps it going. And if Branch, Phelps, and Jackson go ahead and hit as we anticipate them to do, those come out of this, then I think the whole season is before us and great. I have no fear of the pitching staff because of that acumen that Johnson has. It's going to be fantastic, and I think should be handily won games.
Anybody have any final notes to wrap up our first ever SEC baseball squad? Yes, Stephen Willis. Thank you for raising your hand.
Yes. Did Eric say Henry Ford, and is his nickname Model T?
It better be, man. That is his name. We got to throw a power T on the side of that Model T, baby. But yeah, all name team, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, so yeah, we're going to be doing this every week throughout the season. They'll drop Tuesday afternoon, so be sure to check those out. So Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy, Eric Kane of Locked On Vols, Clint Shamblin Locked On Bulldogs, John Nabors Locked On Razorbacks, Stephen Willis Locked On Ole Miss. I'm Zach Blackerby, I host Locked On Auburn. We'll see you next time on the Locked On SEC Baseball Squad.
Anchor down.